Good afternoon, and as promised, we're going to do a quick look inside of this Zeus Saito FA-220 engine. Before I get to that, in the first video where I introduced this, I was curious and I had mentioned something about not knowing the production life or thinking this had a very short production life, which I have found it actually did have a very short production life. So doing some research, it looks like to me this engine was introduced in 2005. That's the earliest mention that I can see that shows on an instruction manual, the FA-220a Golden Knight and standard version. So I actually made a Golden Knight version. I've never seen one of those. That would be incredible to see one of those. But then I also believe I found what could be, or should have been at least, the end date of that production cycle, which is this RC or Fly RC magazine engine review of the Saito FG36 engine, which is a gas variant. This engine was based off the 220, and basically all they did was throw a Walbro carburetor onto it and call it a gas engine. As far as I can tell, they didn't do anything different to it. This review came out in March 14th of 2011. So to me, it makes more sense that they would have done away with the glow version of this engine by 2011 and replaced it with gas, because that's what they were starting to do at that time. So it does seem that this engine did have a very short production life of maybe only 6 years. So with that said, let's get to looking inside. Now, as I also mentioned in that other video, I was going to remove the there was a screw in this location and there was a nipple in this location for that smoke system that the person was going to install on there. Well, I removed those things and filled those holes with JB Weld. So that's the first thing I've done. So here's our engine, and let's first take off some rocker covers and see what these look like. Now, I think in that first video I said this engine had been run once. I don't believe that's the case, because there's two holes in that exhaust. One was filled with a screw, and then one had a nipple on it. So that, to me, indicates that it was run at least twice, and that the exhaust, it was experimented with and it didn't work. So it probably has actually more than even 2 runs on this engine. I can't say how many, I won't be able to tell you that, but that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're looking inside to see what the condition of this engine is going to look like inside there. So here's the rocker covers off. It looks really nice. I don't have my glow driver with me. Let me go grab my glow driver real quick here. My nut driver, and pop this plug out so I can at least turn this thing over, because it's got such strong compression. Okay, so now we can move it and see that we've got some good movement there. I mean, it smells like fuel residue. I mean, it smells like it's been run. So for me to take this rear cover off and look inside, we're going to have to remove this carb. And instead of taking it off here, which I guess I could do, I don't know if there's any advantage to taking the intake manifold off or not. I guess I could just take the carb body off here. Hopefully there's no gasket that's going to get, I mean, I'm sure there's a gasket there. Hopefully it's an O-ring and it won't get torn, because this one has got a paper gasket, and I have a funny feeling that it's been sitting on there for so many years that if I were to pull that, it's probably going to do something to that gasket. Well, that screws out. So this, ooh, okay. Looks like maybe, let's take a look at that. Why did that pop off like that? Maybe they had some kind of sealant on there. Hopefully that'll still seal fine, because looks like there was some kind of sealant from the factory on there. That's interesting. That's very interesting, because it does look like there might be a little bit of a O-ring or some sort of a some sort of a seal there. I see something black. I thought in the past these things had an O-ring, but I'm not feeling anything protruding. Hopefully that'll still seal. I don't have any Permatex gasket sealer, but we'll have to see. All right, let's take this rear cover off real quick and see what the internals look like here. That came off really easily. That gasket's good and intact. No issues there. So let's look inside here. Hopefully there's enough light for you to see. That looks really clean. Let me stick my face in here and smell it. Yeah, it just smells like, you know, it's been run. I'm not seeing any, no residue, no rust. Doesn't look like there's any kind of rust forming on there at all. I'm not really getting any residue other than just oil. Just smells like oil. So I think you might be able to see that bearing in there a little bit. It looks fine. Everything looks great. So yes, so this engine has clearly has a few runs on it. You can see a little bit of swirling here from where it was run. So this engine has been run. It looks like it's in wonderful condition. And the funny thing is, I actually took this out and I had it bolted to the stand. I was gonna get it ready for a run, and then I thought, oh crap, I haven't even done the look inside first, and I didn't want to do a run and then do a look inside and contaminate how this engine came to me. So there you have it. There's our quick look inside for this engine. Let's look at these rockers again real quick. Everything looks spectacular. So now I can put this engine back together, now take it back out on the stand, and hopefully we'll get a run with this engine here very, very soon. So hope you enjoyed a little bit of the history and seeing what the inside of this beautiful engine looks like.